YouTube.
Well, hello, everyone.
Yeah, it's us with Under the Hive of Madness. We're back with the results for our Lunar New Year 2026 Red Squig Challenge. Again, this Red Squig Challenge, to refresh everybody on the rules, was oh my gosh, was me dying of a cough. Where was I going there before I coughed?
Pictures of Perturabo's beehole.
Yes,
that's what we were doing.
That was the contest rules.
Yeah, in honor of the new version, and we're back on Armageddon, and Perturabo was there.
Yep,
painting his chocolate starfish.
Yep. All right, so to refresh the rules, this was our Candlemas 2026. Contest Candlemas within our own lore, within our own hive that we present everything from, is essentially the beginning of the year celebration. It takes the Lunar New Year spotlight. We've got some lore on it that we will share at some point on the podcast. So if you don't listen to the podcast yet, you should go down into the descriptions here on YouTube, find the podcast link, and start listening. But we do a painting contest 4 times a year. If this just happens to be the first time you've ever seen one, basically quarterly. So we've got a winter one, which is our Lunar New Year one. Then we've got a spring one, we've got a summer one, and we've got a Halloween one. Halloween is, in fact, the last season of the year. Don't let anybody fool you. It's not winter, it's Halloween.
That's correct.
And then we basically go through it. But every contest has a rule set. The rules are easy. The way to join is super easy. Join us on Discord, again, down there in the YouTube description. And then you can read the rules for the newest contest. We usually give about 45 days. Because
it's pretty generous.
We announce on the 15th and of the month that it starts, and then we give you whatever that next month is, that entire 30 or 31 days. So if you're hearing this right now and it is before May 15th, go to our Discord, find out the newest rules, May 15th, 2026, and jump in on the contest, because you've got a chance to get in under the May 31st deadline. But
do we have a new theme for the next one?
Yeah, we do.
Have we decided?
It's wizards.
Lizards and wizards.
Yeah, machine gun wizards and laser rifle lizards, because we had to have fun with the title. We've actually, people are already starting to paint their commission, or their submissions, not their commissions, their submissions. So if you were hearing this the week of April 20th, which is when we will release the video, then everybody just started. But okay, so back to Candlemas 2026, which is the one that we are judging now. The rules were easy. As Lunar New Year approaches, we wanted to see everybody scream into 2026 with the most insane, saturated, and colorful paint jobs people could imagine. We were hoping for a bunch of bubblegum pop, synthwave, neon, drenched, day glow, any of those crazy oversaturated color combinations we could see. I did specifically ask for a Sailor Moon themed orc, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But
a boy can ask. That's all he can do.
We can. And we'll have another one. We will definitely have another bubblegum pop contest. It will happen again. But we wanted to see everything that was out there. These are the submissions. If you want to know a little bit more about each submission, including the lore that they gave us, check out video 1 in this, or I guess check out Lunar New Year submissions, because we did another video just about 2 weeks ago. So you can head on over there and get a little bit more information. But just to give a quick rundown, I don't know why I skipped all the way. These are the submissions. So we've got Thomas, we have Semi-Serious Nerd, we've got Micah, then we've got Ikbard and Domir. And to give you guys an idea on how the voting works, and then we'll jump into everything. Everybody gets, we put all of these submissions up on our Discord server, and then everybody has about a week to go ahead and vote. Everybody who is part of our Discord community gets 3 votes. Each of those votes is worth a single point. Those people who are part of our Patreon also get a weighted vote. They also get 3 votes, but all of their votes are worth 2 points each. And then our moderators, our community manager, get weighted votes that are 3, 6, and 1 points. And then our votes are weighted at 3, 6, and 9 points, because 3, 6, and 9 is a thing that we do here. So that's how all the voting works. Then we tabulate all of our community's votes. And then we take a couple of days to figure out what we want to do. And then we present all of the conclusions to you guys here on YouTube with a little bit of feedback from us on kind of what we're looking for and sort of what we see as being the important staples when it comes to painting miniatures. I don't know if you guys have any methodology when you vote that you want to lay out. I just look, I've got like 4 major things I look for. I don't like mold lines. Yeah. And I love seeing kit bash stuff. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And otherwise it all comes down to a lot of little technical things, but what really grinds my gear, so to speak, is mold lines drive me nuts. And it's not against anybody. Mold lines that I see on my own models after I've done 20 hours of painting into them and thought I eliminated all the mold lines drive me nuts. So I see them in everyone else's stuff too. I'm not targeting you. It's just how bad my brain works.
I guess for me, it's, what are they called? Like the elements of art or the principles of design. Like, is the color scheme something that makes sense?
Right.
Does the model tell a story? Is it a complete look? And then, of course, the technical execution of everything, our edge. Did we edge highlight? Right. Did we work appropriately with tricky colors like pink, white, yellow? Are the metallics highlighted correctly? Does all the shading and all the volumetrics work? So I don't know. I feel like I judge like we're in art class.
Yeah, I can see that.
I judge with love, support, and care. No, none of those things. I'm incapable of feeling any of those emotions ever since the accident. But
the accident.
Ever since we replaced Drew's brain with a servitor, there's an entire servitor in there.
Yeah, it's a skull in a skull situation.
Skullception.
Legit. Look, our art is complicated. We can divide things between like interpretation and technique and stuff like that. My goal is always to encourage people to grow as artists, and whatever I can do to do that. And the contest, I think, is just one of the ways. And so when I have an opportunity to provide feedback, that's where I'm coming from. I don't think that I'm a better painter than you, nor do I think that anyone is necessarily better than anyone else. There are people that have mastered techniques, and good for them for doing that. That doesn't necessarily mean it's morally good or better than any other thing. So I'm just here to say, hey, man, I want to see your cool miniatures and say fun things about them. And some people may say, oh, that miniature X is objectively better than miniature Y. Honestly, there are so many factors. We're never going to agree. That's the whole point. That's why we're the judges, and you have to listen to our stupid stuff that we say.
Yeah.
And critique is its own form of art. So here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. And as far as, if you know of any of the other big painting contests that exist, we don't have a particular technique that we're looking for. We're never looking. If you don't do non-metallic metal, you use metallic paints, we're not looking down on you. If you do slap chop, we're not looking down on you. If you do this, we're not looking down on you. And then the majority of the reason is because all of these techniques are used in a good paint job. Everyone is mixing everything. There's no way for me to look at a miniature and be like, oh, that's contrast. I mean, I'm sure there are examples where I could be like, that's definitely only contrast or only speed paints. But as far as we're not, there's not some special thing that we're looking for this year. But kind of the thing that happens with Golden Demon every year is it's like, oh, well, everyone's doing intricate freehand painted armor panels and banners. So if you don't do that, you're not going to be in the standing. None of us think that way.
You can do a freehand anime titty lady on a night, and we think that's fantastic.
Yeah, not that that's ever happened.
No, it's never happened. Not once in the history of
guys,
this.
What about all of this? Never mind.
The anime titty ladies on nights.
Yeah. They're fantastic. I have a great time.
They're great. We love them.
They're fun.
Keep
I wouldn't even call them. I would hesitate to call them titty ladies, but what do I know?
Right.
I for one, as we've talked about, have an appreciation for when people really go that extra mile and do like crazy, like hand drawn or stuff on there. Like it's I don't know. I think that's really neat. I really admire when people can do that. I find it especially challenging. So.
Yeah.
I'm like Mary Berry on
Bake Off.
On Bake Off. Yeah, you just got to put a little, just put a little schnapps in whatever it is, and I'll give you a good grade.
There you go.
Oh, that's lovely flavor. Yeah, I love her so much. She's a fucking icon.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We're pretty down to earth people. Oh, I know the thing I was going to say. The thing everybody is competing for is the Red Squig trophy. Yeah, and we paint that up. One of us paints that up, and then we send it out to the winner. So people who have won a couple of different times have a couple of different versions of us painting it. And we with all of that said and done, let's jump into everything. So first off, let's go ahead and head to our runner-ups. We have 2 runner-ups today. So the first of our runner-ups, just alphabetically, we're going to go with Icbard. Icbard painted a rhino, I believe, in the Celestial Lions colors, and really, really, really stepped into the kind of damage and the grim dark and the rust techniques and everything. And I think he did a great job. If I can start, if you guys don't mind, I think he did a great job. I really like the patinaing that he did as far as on the gold. I also very much like the old blood that is on the doors.
Or it's rust. It could be rust.
Little mix of rust and old blood. Old blood is brown, by the way. Yeah, I think it looks great. There's even some.
Do you know why old blood is brown?
Because
it has rust in it.
Because it's rusted in mud. No,
it's ferrous. Yeah.
It's all the same thing, man.
Right.
Blood, steel. Somebody say something like
germs.
Clever,
blood germs.
Vile.
Blood and steel.
Rip and tear.
They draw the blood with the steel, but the steel is the blood. I don't know.
It's like a dinosaur-shaped chicken nugget, which is ironically made of a dinosaur.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this. I like some of the texture that he put into it. I think it's a great paint job. It also, to be perfectly honest with everybody, and this usually ends up, we always say this, we get to see these guys paint over a course of, a couple of years, and we get to watch everybody get better at different techniques, and we get to watch people experiment with different techniques, which is always fun, but it always makes it really hard to judge.
Yes.
Because there's always a bunch of stuff we can find. That's my 2 cents, my input on Icbard. I pass it off to you guys. I popcorn it to one of you guys.
Yeah.
I like that we have treated the 2 different metals. So there's the blue of the panel. We've done a rust effect on that, but that rust is actually more of a green patina on the gold. So as somebody who did study geology, this is scientifically, like, more technically accurate than some people do. So mad props for that. I just, I would have liked to see like a little panel line, just a little bit more detail, a little bit more highlighting and shading on the gold. Just adding, when you're working with a true metallic metal, you really do have to like punch up the details in the true metallic, because metallic pigments deflect light. And the more that you're able to add depth with panel lining, as well as highlighting and things like that, it's almost like you have to work harder with a metallic to make it look detailed more than like a flat or like a cream finish paint. So I would have just liked to see a little bit more detail in the gold.
The thing that excited me about this was immediately I like patina. We've said it a few times. Verdigris is what we're talking about here, which is the oxidization of copper. It gives you a different look, and it's like a fun, like minty color. It's just pleasant.
Yeah.
So I just that alone kind of makes it fun. The fact that we did something a little bit different. The thing that I would fault this for is simply that it is when we talked about what the goal was to really hit us with super saturated colors. I feel like this this doesn't quite go all the way there, right? Like I see the colors there, but working with saturation and really making things pop is tricky. And I don't think it's a technique that a lot of people are used to using. And that includes doing things like using fluorescence when you think you wouldn't have to, because fluorescents are at their core pure concentrated saturation, right? They're just like the most brightest expression of the color. So one of the things I've seen people doing lately, and I've been aping myself, and I would recommend that you guys give this a try at home, is mixing fluorescence in as you're highlighting, right? So as your colors get lighter or brighter or closer, they actually get more intense as well, to show like the sunlight is catching it more, or the ambient light or whatever. In this particular case, it all comes off a little flat. And grimdark, yes, grimdark is the setting, but in this particular case, we are going for something a little a little bit more punchy, you know.
All right, well, following up with our runners up, we have Thomas with his Salamander Captain, I believe. And yeah, kind of pinballing or popcorning off of what Drew just said. Actually, one of the things that I've been seeing a lot recently to really push that saturation has been to undercoat in bright colors that you wouldn't necessarily think to use. Or not necessarily bright colors that you wouldn't think to use, but colors that you wouldn't think to use. A lot of times, especially, and this goes back to kind of like an art school thing, so I'm going to get a little, I went to art school-y on you guys for a second. A lot of times we have a tendency when we step into, not as, I don't want to say as a new painter, because I don't think any of you guys are new painters, but we have a tendency to step in as people experiencing the hobby, people growing in the hobby or whatever. And this even goes down to sketching, is shadows are black, highlights are white. And that kind of traps you into a weird place because you're not actually playing with like reflective values, right? And one of the things that I've been seeing a lot recently that I've kind of been challenging myself to is like, maybe your shadows are a very saturated fluorescent purple, and maybe your highlights are a pink or whatever. And even if your end goal is different colors, you get that like weird pop out that happens, right? You get that extra punch towards the end. And I think I really like what Thomas has done here, because I really like the fire, but it is kind of missing. I think his reds and his fire are kind of missing that baseline pop. One of the things that a lot of us talk about, painting yellow sucks. But one of those things that we've always talked about with painting yellow, and one of the conversations that happens in the hobby a lot is, you don't paint yellow on top of white. You don't paint yellow on top of black. You paint yellow on top of pink. You paint yellow on top of red. And I'm not sure what technique Thomas used here, but my suggestion would be, if you're really trying to push that saturation, I would start off with a pink, and then I would even mix in white and pink on top, or even a fluorescent, like an actual fluorescent color. Pro Acryl makes a fluorescent. I think Viejo makes a fluorescent right now. I would use one of those fluorescents as the base for any fire elements, or anything that you want to like really pop as red. And a lot of the Citadel colors have kind of a muted tone to them. So even when you really saturate a Citadel color, it kind of ends up kind of still being a little matte. And then a lot of us use matte varnish on top of it. So we're kind of compounding. But I do really like the model. I think it's great. I would have loved to have seen a little bit more color play on the scaly cape, whether or not that was some highlights in maybe a brighter red or even a purple may have helped pop some of the scales a little bit more. Or instead of, this is a thing that I've been playing with for years, but it's started to become a conversation with a lot of painters. I don't always use, not again, not that Thomas did this, but I don't always go to Nuln Oil as my base for adding in panel lining. I've almost constantly either used Druchii Purple or what's the blue one? It has an Age of Sigmar name. But I've almost
Azurite blue?
Not Azurite blue. It's the darker one. Like Night Haven blue, or
the one that's like Nagaroth?
Nagaroth blue. Yeah, I have a tendency to use Nagaroth blue and Druchii
Violet.
Drukhari Violet. Yeah.
Druchii Violet. Yeah.
I bounce back and forth between those because one, you're using it's not a tone. White and black are tones. It's actually a cool color rather than just being a tone, one. And then two, like it just does it does just a little bit of an extra thingy there. That's what I've got for you, Thomas. Otherwise, I think this is awesome. I think I want to see the rest of your Salamanders army. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the color scheme. I think the burgundy like tabard with the green armor and the red cape, like you're playing with like opposites on the color wheel, and I think that's really fun. I guess some other things about this model I would have liked to see just a little bit, like even just a little wash of Reichland Flesh Shade over the gold would make that pop so much more. And like adding a little bit of white to the hottest part of the flame. Like I think you did add like a light yellow, but even just like it can be intimidating, but just like a stark bright white on the hottest part of the flame would have really punched that up. But I love the way that the greens, reds, and oranges play with each other on this piece. So very good job.
Very a big agree. I mean, there is a tactic or a strategy that they encourage with like blocking out your colors, and that is like there's the it's like this the 70 20 10 kind of rule, right, where you're trying to do basically most of your model in one color, and then you stick to a scheme for additional ones. So obviously, like we're seeing this with the Salamanders here, and this will bring it together as a whole army. Right. That's what's critical is when we look at this on a table. So obviously, we've got the greens, the reds, and the golds, and the cold metallics kind of play all together. And I think this model, one of the things that hit me was it's very well balanced in that regard. I really like the attempt at the gradient and the flame effect. Again, what Emmy suggested, which was adding white. And then the other thing, again, back to what we were talking about before, try mixing in some of those fluorescents, both fluorescent yellow and orange will help you here. And they'll really sort of like, again, make that flame punch even more. Right.
Another thing you could do with the flame, and I'm just going to break in for a second, is blue the metal. There's a couple of reasons that you blue metal. One of the reasons is because as metal gets heated to cherry and then comes back down to, as metal anneals, essentially heats all the way through to cherry glow and then comes back down, heats all the way through. It does tint the color. That's why like motorcycle pipes and gun barrels are blued, because that's just happening naturally over time. But the other thing, the thing that it does to a painting is that you are then putting a cool color right next to a warm color, which makes that warm color stand out more. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Drew, if you had.
No, that was the end of my contribution, but thank you. That was a good segue to transition to.
All right. So going into our not knowing how to use the computer, going into our third place, we have Semi-Serious Nerd with the Crab Lord. I believe he told us flat out it was the Crab Lord.
It is, yes, the Crab Lord.
Yeah.
This is from was it like Epic Miniatures or whatever? Like
the Epic Encounters, right? Epic Encounters.
That's it. Yeah.
So this is an awesome model. This is an awesome paint job. One of the things that I really like about the paint job immediately right off the bat is that he's got this star pattern, this speckled star pattern that's all over it, which very much makes me think Eldritch Horror even more than the crab monster makes me think Eldritch Horror. We also have a lot of play with heavy saturated colors going on here. We've got, I believe all of this blends from a bright orange down into a purple, obviously with some of the greens and other colors going on here, which is very cool, very fun. The main criticism I've got, Semi, and I know that this is something that we've kind of bounced back and forth on, and maybe we can try to dig up an article. You're losing a little bit of saturation on your actual paint job because of the way that you photographed the miniature. There's kind of like a haze to the photo, which makes me think that the lights are working against your lens rather than working for your lens. So yeah, if I can dig something up, or if I can think of something, I'll try to throw it out there. But there's absolutely, it's just a reality of photographing miniatures. It's really hard to photograph miniatures.
I went to film school. I worked in TV news and in photography and visual design, and I still struggle to photograph my miniatures. So it's not an easy thing to do, not at all.
Well, there's a lot of good color flow to this model. I really like the play with the green and the purples. I like that there isn't any white and there isn't any black that you really seemed to rely on or heavily lean on and use, which I think is great. But yeah, this is a very cool miniature, a very cool model, very cool paint job.
Agreed. I would say I'm right there with you, Ryan. I love the kind of galaxy look. It has the vibe of an Eldritch Horror or like a Greek Leviathan lobster god or something. Love that. So like, this is one of my favorite pieces of the whole thing, but I think that you could have made even more of a contrast between the dark spots and the pops of light in it. Like, take a really, really opaque white and underpaint those light spots and like add fluorescent pigments over top. That would have looked so cool. But I love this piece. This is super cool, man.
Yeah, hard to agree. To me, I look at this and it immediately the visual fidelity tells me like nebula, like this reminds me, I we've got greens and blues, and then like he's like the contrasting pinks and oranges. It is very cool. If anything, it is almost a hair too subtle. I think part of that is also, as we say, that the challenges of photographing, especially a model that plays with a lot of dark values like this one does.
Right.
And if anything, we may want to look into HDR photography and how we. This is a whole thing. Now I'm going to give you all a 45-minute long lecture on color space and what the difference between HD 2020 and Rec 709. And anyway, the point being, I really enjoy this. I really appreciate this, and I really do understand how there might be some technology even getting in the way here. And I will get back to you. I'm going to research this a little bit. So yeah.
One of the super dumb techniques that I've discovered is, if you're using a cell phone camera, there's a way to set your exposure. And like the newer iPhones and the newer iPhones, the new Galaxy phones and the newer Android phones, they all kind of do this auto balance thing for you. And when you're photographing miniatures, it totally works against you to have the miniature perfectly white balanced or perfectly gray balanced, unless you're actually doing it with like a DSLR or something where you're actually balancing your grays and your whites. The AI that is balancing your grays and your whites doesn't really know what it's doing because it doesn't really know what it's looking at. These are complex systems that are based on balancing the light and shadow on a human face and trying not to get the red glare in the center of your eye. Like that's what your cell phone wants to do, right? And then we're not taking a picture of a human. Like, so it doesn't really know. So one of the tricks that I found is putting your light directly above and pretty close to the model and diffusing it somehow. And then taking that exposure and just turning it way down. And then when you're exporting the photo later, just, if you turned your exposure down 50%, take your brightness and contrast and up them 25%. And that basically does what the exposure was supposed to be doing. And then just, look at your model as you're doing it, because you'll be able to see, okay, now I'm at the place where the color is. Anyway, and obviously there's ways to like do that stuff to blow your model out and make it not look anything like it does on table 2. So be careful. But that's just one of the little dumb tricks I found is way underexposing it with a camera sensor and then fixing that underexposure by dragging your brightness up again. All right. So in third place, in second place. In third place was Semi. In second place, we have Micah with this pretty cool cyberpunk custom character. I really like this model. I believe there's quite a bit of kit bashing going on here. Would have to talk to him specifically to find out if there was, or if this is more or less an off the cuff, but I believe there's some kit bashing going on here. I love the story it tells. I love that it is a different, it's a different model. We're not looking at like a space marine. We're not looking at an orc. We're definitely looking at a different character altogether. I love the eyes painted on the head. Almost makes me think it doesn't have eyes. Somebody just spray painted eyes on it. Love the freehand with the no step on the base. The classic, one of the classic Necromunda bases. I like the camo pattern. I like the fact that we're balancing pink against, essentially colors that aren't necessarily, you wouldn't think pink jacket. Everything about this piece very much screams to me cyberpunk and synthwave and all of that, which I really like. As far as feedback goes, the pink could be pumped just a little bit more. And I don't know if that's, I don't really know if I have a way that I can say that. I don't know whether or not maybe like a very slight glaze of like a darker purple or a darker red or even a magenta may have fit into those recesses better, possibly, and made the parts of the pink that are closer to the light source, for lack of the correct term, which is escaping me, really pop. Or if it was just, one more pass or one more edge highlight, because I definitely do see some edge highlighting on the folds and everything. But that's pretty much all I can think of. I love the orange. The 2 orange is something I like. Orange lines. I don't know why, but it's a very cool model.
I love this. To me, it tells the story of a robot who's trying to like go into deep cover, who's picked up some clothes at TJ Maxx to go do crimes in. And I just love this.
Don't
fabric.
Worry, human. I am like you.
Look at me. And look at me in my pink jacket, human.
Yes.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting. Fabric can be really, really challenging to highlight and make look like fabric on a model. And I think you did that perfectly. I guess my only real critique of this is like I would have liked to see a little bit more highlighting in the silver, like some super bright gray highlights around the face of the robot would have been awesome to see. But otherwise, I love this, and I love that this robot is trying to be all nonchalant in his like Walmart clearance rack clothing to go do crime. Like
right.
2 thumbs up.
It's super cool.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is like quintessential cyberpunk to me. Like, I look at this and I immediately know what it is, right? Like, that's critical. To me, this is giving Chappie.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, it's giving Chappie.
This, because there's a particular vision of what robots will be like in the future that are like that they're highly sort of utilitarian, and they remind me of like sort of the natural endpoint of like Boston Dynamics or something, what their
Right.
sort of like engineering philosophy and design philosophy appears to be. And that's kind of this guy with his blade legs and stuff kind of reminds me of that a little bit. I don't know. And like, that alone excites me. Like Emmy said, I specifically really enjoy like the texture that's left on the fabric, or that sort of indicates that. And then the base.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a sucker for a good base, and obviously this is either whether this is 3D printed or made from scratch or whatever. There's so much love and attention and time that went into painting that base. Everything from the text on it, the caution stripes, the stains. You know, like I love it. Just looking at this looks like it's from a living world somewhere, and that excites me.
The newer, this is one of the newer Necromunda bases, the plastic, the injection molded plastic ones that they released with Necromunda. But it really is like they give you a bunch of texture, but they don't tell you how to paint it.
No.
So all of the extra care taken into, it's awesome. I totally
right. The distressed caution stripes. Yes. Love that.
Yeah, I love the Drew. You pointed out all the splotching or the staining. It's just great. I now cannot see Gangsta. I can now not see Gangsta Robot. By the way, now that you said Chappie. Very cool. All right, and then in first place we have Dalmir, and I've got to say, I mean, our proprietary synthwave color scheme that we put into our words down here is called Tangerine Sunset, and it's just some random thing I made up. And man, talk about using the color scheme for your model. I don't know if you did that on purpose, but man, like, look at that. It's pretty great. This is great. And you know, this is there's a couple of things here which make me really like this. The first thing that makes me really like this is pushing exactly what we're talking about as hard as you can. The second thing is this is a very, very simple model. Drones are very small. They're very simple. And because they're very small and they're very simple, they're really easy to mess up. You either way overpaint them, which I have done on more than one drone, or you way underpaint them. And this is like the exact perfect balance of you've put more than enough color and more than enough attention into your drone and pushed what you need to push without like doing a bunch of extra stuff. Like one of the things that I've seen with drones to talk about overpainting specifically is these carbines, people doing like a 4-color scheme, right? So the base of the gun will be silver, and then there's black patches, and then there's a blue. One little segment is painted blue, and then another segment is painted green. And you're like, okay, there you go. I've got 4 colors on my drone's guns. And it's like, but I don't know what I'm looking at anymore. As to where this, it's, you know, you've got it's using, Drew, you had mentioned this very, very early on when we were talking about paint jobs and picking color schemes. I believe when we were talking about Thomas's, you know, you pick a certain number of colors, then you stick with it. This picked a certain number of colors and stuck with it perfectly. And then it's just popping those colors as much as you want. You know, we've got pink and we've got orange and we've got blue or black for the underneath. And it looks like we've got green for the eye, but otherwise, like there's no other colors on this. And it's just pushing the contrast on those colors as much as you can. As far as a feedback would go, it would have been interesting. I don't know if it would have worked, so I'm stating that first. But it would have been interesting to not see a black pin or a gray pin, a classic tank pin, as far as the pinning on this goes. I think it works really, really well. But I also think that since we've got a black pin right next to vibrant colors, it calls out any single tiny mistake with the pinning that happens where you've got like a little bit of bleed over, you've got a little bit of this, and like that sucks. That's hard. What could you have done different? I don't know. I mean, like I would have been tempted in your position. I would have been tempted to use a white base and white ink after I had blocked all my colors in, after I blocked my orange and my pink in. I would have then gone back with a white ink and I would have pinned with a white ink. And then I would have done probably way too much, but I probably would have tried to have done like an object source lighting where it made the lines look like they were glowing somehow. And honestly, that's what I would have done. I don't think it would have looked as good as your drone, but I'm throwing it out. Like that may have been the route I have gone. Or the other thing that you could have done is use the magenta contrasts to do your pinning instead. So you get like kind of a dull, is it glowing or is it not glowing red? I don't know. It would have, on a model this size with the contrast colors and the saturation you were trying to do, I don't know if it would have worked. I'm just tossing it out there, and I pass it to you, Emmy, because I believe you've gone second every time.
I have. I fucking love this. This is great. I love the pink and the orange. It's not colors, they're like right next to each other on the color wheel. I feel like most people would have gone with like two contrasting colors, but I like that it's complementary. It looks really cool. I'd love to see a whole army like this.
Oh, yeah.
And I really do like that you really punched up the highlights. I like the very soft pink and like the almost like white pink that you work your way up to. Yeah, I know about the panel lining. Like I kind of feel like it could just be over engineered if you tried to pin it that way. Yeah, I love this. So great job, man.
Mm-hmm. Same. By the time we get to the third person, sometimes we beat a dead horse. I similarly really enjoyed this one. I loved that we went all the way with the really bright, fluorescent, highly saturated. I think that's really cool that it's got like that cell shaded look with the really deep black lines. That's a fun look. It's hard to pull off. There's a lot of there can be a lot of visual fatigue with it if you go overboard with it. And I think it was pretty strategic here. The subtle blue glow underneath, sort of implying like the sort of like the hover thing, but also that we're still getting it like, the reason why these drones are designed the way they are is obviously the big round dome is meant to be reminiscent of the traditional rice picking hat, right? Like that's we're invoking that like traditional like Eastern, both Japanese and Chinese storytelling, because that's always what the Tao have always been about, right?
Yeah,
they put mechs in our 40K, and but what's critical about that sort of like aesthetic is that when we see those characters in like anime and manga and stuff like that, that hat shades their face. Right. That's what it's existed to do. But it's also like it communicates, it tells a story about like how that person is under shadow, right? Like there's some amount of like seriousness or gravitas to it. And we can sort of get that, right? Like even the little drone looks like it's like he's got his
he's ready.
He's like tipping his hat. He's a little mysterious. He's a little cool. I like it. I like it a lot.
You can see him doing the Shinji's dad's pose.
Yeah.
Which I can't.
Exactly.
I can't look up and do. But anyway.
Disappointed father.
Yes, disappointed father. These are this was a hard one to vote for. I feel Domir, congratulations on your first win. But yeah, you guys always make it hard for us to judge and pick a winner. But congratulations, Domir, on first place.
Yeah, well done.
As we mentioned up at the top, we'll plug one more time here at the bottom. Our newest contest is going right now to give you guys an idea. If you're listening to this the last week of April, the first week of May, perfect time to jump onto our Discord today and join in on it. Again, this time around for our next one, it is machine gun wizards versus laser rifle lizards. So, we want to see crazy ass anything lizard or wizard. We've already got some really cool submissions. One of our submissions is a big AdMech robot, and the person that submitted it flat out used Drew and Mai's favorite quote and was like, if it's indistinguishable from, if the technology is indistinguishable from the magic. Oh, why can't I say it right now? But that Arthur C. Clarke quote, they threw it back at us. So I was like, yep, nope, that's fine. I see your giant AdMech wizard, and I'd like to see how you paint him. So, and a lot of times our prompts are suggestive. You know, we do want to see lizards and wizards, and extra points if you do a machine gun wizard or a laser rifle lizard. But you know, what does that inspire?
Because I was very specifically thinking when I did lizards and wizards.
Yeah.
I was explaining to somebody online, like, oh yeah, I play lizard men in fantasy and Thousand Suns and 40K. And I was like, and someone was like, oh, so lizards and wizards. So very much, yes. Yeah, the wizard that I had in mind has a chain Kopesh. So
yeah, right.
Interpret that how you want.
And like, you know, paint an Anakin Skywalker or a Luke Skywalker or a Darth Vader from Shatterpoint. Those are all technically wizards.
They are with laser swords.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, One Page Rules has an entire army of star lizards, or like technologically advanced lizards. So we'd love to see that too, or dragons. I mean, there's so many possibilities.
You could do an Eldar Exodite. Ryan would love that.
I would love that. That's one of the examples I put down there. I just thought, I was like, you could do a dragon. And I was like, a dragon is technically both. It's a wizard and a lizard. So
it is.
But yeah, guys, please join us. Again, super easy to do. Hop into that Discord, check it out, follow our submission rules. If you're hearing this the last weekend of April, first weekend of May, you've got, you know, close to 30 days left to paint. So we look forward to seeing what you guys have to show us. But thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day or evening or afternoon.